Welcome to the first episode of Feh Report. This is going to be a series of discussion-style videos about different aspects of the game, such as game systems, the meta, arena, ether raids. I'll even talk about some personal stories involving Fire Emblem, and maybe we'll even talk about art a bit. This is one of the video series I've been wanting to make for a very long time. I just really enjoy discussing different game systems and game design, but I won't be doing any theory crafting here. This video will mostly be talking about things that already exist in the game, and I'll be making another video series about theory crafts of things that I would like to add to the game or change to the game. That won't be coming up for quite a while though. Hopefully this will become a weekly video series, and maybe I'll even get some guests on it eventually, and that could be a lot of fun. Today's topic is going to be progression systems in Fire Emblem Heroes and how they are tied to summoning. It's one of the major problems in Fire Emblem Heroes, and something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but I've held back because I don't really want to be overly negative. But I feel like right now is the perfect time to talk about it and to start a discussion in the community about how we could possibly see some changes to this and hopefully create new progression systems so that everything is not interconnected to summoning. We're going to break it down bit by bit, and if you already know some of this information, go ahead and just look down at the timestamps in the description so you can jump to parts that you want to see. Let's start with what are the progression systems in Fire Emblem Heroes. First of all, there are vertical progression systems and horizontal progression systems. So let's start by explaining the differences between the two and how they are commonly used in different types of games. So for vertical progression, it's quite commonly used in games like RPGs or like MMOs, something like that, right? Where it's essentially the player being able to gain more and more power and gaining access to new modes or higher level difficulty content. While horizontal progression usually adds more options to the character, such as new classes or jobs. They don't actually make the character more powerful, but they give more versatile options for them to interact with different types of content. This could also be content such as like raids, where you progress through the more difficult raids and you get more power along the way, while horizontal progression would be more like different game modes you can immediately jump into and that you don't need to progress in order to interact with them. So in Fire Emblem Heroes, vertical progression comes in two major forms. First, unit progression, and second, game mode progression. So unit progression can simply be merges or dragon flowers or adding more powerful skills to the unit. When it comes to game mode progression, it usually comes in the forms of climbing tiers or ranks, which is common like in arena or ether raids, right? So let's look at the systems that have vertical progression in Fire Emblem Heroes. First, we have arena, which spans from tier 1 to tier 21, Mjolnir strikes, that also goes from tier 1 to 21, resonant battles, which has intervals 1 through 21, then we have ether raids, which has tier 1 through 28, then you enter Vault of Heavens, and you fight for ranks, or staying in the Vault of Heaven itself, which then goes up to tier 39. Ether raids is also a bit different because rewards are based off a rank as well, not just the tier you're in. Unlike arena or Mjolnir strikes, if you're in tier 21, no matter what rank you are, you're getting those tier 21 rewards. There's also allegiance battles, which also has a tiering system. So now let's talk about the systems with horizontal progression systems, which would be Arena Assault and Summoner's Duel. So Arena Assault may seem like a vertical progression system, but in actuality, there is no tiering, right? You just come in and you play, and you get a rank based off how well you played, or scored essentially, and then get those rewards. You're never restricted from playing in certain modes in Arena Assault. It's always the same thing. There's no like tier you're missing out of playing out, or any Vault of Heavens or anything like that. The same thing can be said with Summoner's Duel. You essentially go in and you play. You do raise your favor up, but having more favor doesn't actually change the game mode in any way or restrict you from playing in certain modes. It does change the algorithm which matches you against different players, but that's it, right? And the rewards are based off just your favor, so that's all about just keep playing, getting wins, and continuing to get your favor higher, and then you get those rewards. There's no reward based off of your rank. So even though there are ranks based off your favor or your wins, for each character, those don't actually affect or restrict you in any possible way. Now that we've discussed the different types of progression, vertical and horizontal, let's talk about the score ceiling versus the score floor. The ceiling is the highest possible score achievable in a game mode, while floor is the lowest score a player can achieve and stay within a rank, such as top 3k in ether raids or tier 21 in arena. Ceilings are set in both modes, but the floors are not, especially in arena. So in all vertical game modes, the ceiling is always capped, which means that it won't be changing. So for ether raids, you'll never be able to score higher than 21,520. This is the max score possible with 3 max merged mythics and having no losses on offense or defense. On the other hand, a free-to-play player with no merges on their mythics, but they do have 2 mythics of the correct season, can score a total of 21,040. This is a 480 score gap between the maximum score. This also leaves a 40 score gap to stay in tier 39, which requires 21,000 lift. Even then, you might only hit top 3k, but that's not even guaranteed. This also means you can't lose more than 40 lift on defense or offense combined. When it comes to the Ether Raid's score floor, it's completely different every week. As people add more merges to their mythics, it becomes more and more difficult to stay in the top 1k or top 3k. This is largely due to the impact that merges have in Ether Raids. So in Ether Raids, a single merge on a mythic unit you are using increases your score by plus 16 for a week. So 2 merges would add plus 32, and you can quickly see how scores can get inflated. Because Ether Raids is a game mode where you're competing against other players and their scores, your rank is completely dependent on how well other people play and how well their team scores. This means that the more easily available merges are for mythic units, the higher the score will increase and so will the floor, making it much more difficult to achieve the ranks that you're after. Now let's talk about the arena score ceiling. So the arena score ceiling is 3,890. This is due to the fact that defense teams can't score higher than 766 at the moment. So you have 5 matches of 766, plus the 12 bonus score you get for killing a unit with your bonus unit. On the other hand though, the arena floor is constantly changing due to the bonus units available. Arena score is an average of all your units' score, so when a bonus unit is announced that easily is mergeable or a popular legendary, that floor jumps up extremely high. So let's say there's an arena week where legendary Alm is the bonus unit. A lot of people already have him merged to plus 10, and so the floor will drastically increase, making it much more difficult to stay in tier 21 compared to another week where a new legendary was just released and not many people have him at max merge. And this is why merges are such a big deal in Arena. In Arena, merges add about 2 score per 2 merges. It's not a 1-for-1 due to it being an average of all 4 units. This is massive because in order to score well in Arena, you need 1 to 2 legendaries merged up. Legendaries offer a bonus to the score of a unit as long as they have a matching blessing. Legendaries increase your score by 2 for each matching blessing. That's the same as adding 2 merges to each of your non-legendary units, or plus 4 to your non-legendary units if you have 2 legendaries merged up, which is absolutely massive for scoring when it comes to Arena. Now that we understand the mechanics of the progression systems in Feh and how scoring works, let's talk about why progression tied to summoning is so terrible. As you may have noticed, Feh is a gacha game, which means obtaining units is completely random. This means when the progression of a game system, such as Ether Raids or Arena, is tied to getting copies of a unit of a specific hero, that the cost of progression can completely fluctuate from one player to another. A merge on a mythic hero may cost you 5 orbs, but it may cost me 500 orbs. Unfortunately, because that is the only way to progress your account, when it comes to scoring in these game modes, players have to engage with legendary and mythic summoning banners. There's just no other way. This is why sparking is such a massive deal to anyone who wants to progress their accounts. Almost everyone will recommend sparking mythics on new heroes banners, such as Ashe, Mirabilis, or Regan. It allows a player to make guaranteed progression on their account for a specific amount of orbs. But that's not all. Remember how we talked about score floors and ceilings? Like I said, the ceiling isn't going to be moving, but with them adding sparks to legendary and mythic banners, the floor will be. A serious AR player can pick up a merge on every mythic banner now. This means that they can add plus 16 to their score for 1 season each month, which could lead to the floor of Ether Raids drastically going up, which would make it much more difficult to stay in top 1k or even top 3k. When it comes to Arena, this means that you're going to be able to merge up legendaries much more consistently and easily. So by allowing players to pick up a legendary hero and a specific amount of orbs, they allow the player to make clear progression to their account and allow their scoring in Arena to be much better. Just to be clear, this isn't guaranteed to happen by any means, or will it be a drastic increase immediately. In Ether Raids, there's a few factors that will stop this from happening. First, there are 2 different seasons, so if you pick up an Astra Mythic, that doesn't help your light season floor by any means. And if you pick up a new Mythic, then they will be plus 0 and won't necessarily increase your score. There are also 12 units to pick up on a Legendary or Mythic banner, and not everyone will choose to pick merges for their core Mythics. People will often want to pick up new Mythics or other powerful units on the banner. When it comes to Arena, there are also a myriad of reasons that won't cause an immediate increase to the floor. The same legendaries aren't available every month. Typically they rerun every 3 to 5 months, which means scores will take a while to increase. Same as Ether Raids, not everyone will pick up merges, but may pick up the new legendary to try them out. Even though I mentioned this, there will be an effect on scores, and there will be inflation in both game modes over time. It will cause a discrepancy between Feh Pass users and free-to-play users. Free-to-play players won't have a consistent way to stay on top of the wave of inflation, and they'll have to rely on orb saving and luck, just like they have been up to this point. Outside of progressive game modes, it also hurts free-to-play players who want to have overall stronger barracks or accounts. The reason why Grails being added to the game was such a big deal was because it gave all free-to-play players a consistent way to make progress on their accounts. It removed the variance of summoning and offered a way for free-to-play players to merge up high-scoring units to perform better in game modes like Arena. All of this is to say that Fire Emblem Heroes needs a new progression system desperately. Forcing players to rely on summoning features to progress their accounts is terrible. It robs the players of their ability to control their progression, it forces them to rely on RNG, and creates major differences between players' accounts based solely on their luck in legendary mythic summoning banners. It removes a level of skill from the game, and players can't simply perform better to make their account better. They have to perform better and be lucky. Locking away the only way to consistently progress your account in Aether Raids and Arena behind a paywall is a disgusting move by IS and extremely greedy. I didn't make this video just to complain about the fact that Legendary and Mythic Sparking is tied behind Feh Pass. It's more to open a discussion about progression in this game and how intelligent systems can make it much better. There are so many options for progression in different types of gacha games, and this is one of the few gacha games I've played where progression is so tied to the summoning system. In other games, you can spend a lot of time building your characters, grinding materials to make them better, increase their power of their weapons and stuff like that, essentially. But when it comes to Feh, most of the progression is actually just summoning itself. To build a unit doesn't take very long, you can level them up literally in minutes. Acquiring skills to fodder is also through the summoning system, so you can't play a game mode to farm them. There is a divine code system to get some skills, but realistically it's so limited that you can't use it to build characters. You might be able to get one skill for one character once a year, maybe a different skill from a different path, but honestly it's not nearly enough to allow us to customize our characters without having to rely on summoning. The fact that progression is also very much tied to PvP game modes, and that we're pitted against each other to obtain high ranks, means that summoning is even more important because the scoring is all based off summoning. So in order to be better than an opponent, not only do you need to play better, you need to have more merges so that you can score better, so that you can do better, so that you can progress your account, because the rewards you get from those PvP game modes often help you progress your account, right? Like you get grails, you get divine codes, you get dragon flowers, and those are all key items to help progress your account. In other words, pretty much everything is tied back to summoning. Last thing I really want to say is that Fire Emblem Heroes really needs to find a new progression system that is outside of PvP and is accessible to all players, not just Feh Pass users or people who spend money on the game. And also it needs to be much more based off performance and less on summoning. I don't know if this will ever happen, but I sure do hope so. All I can really do is hope that the developers listen to the community and that we are loud enough to get their attention, and hopefully they can start making some changes so we can get some new game modes that aren't so centered on PvP and also just allow us to progress our account in new ways. But we'll just have to wait and see. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. Also drop a comment telling me what you think about the progression systems in Fire Emblem Heroes and what you would like to see in the future. Also drop a comment telling me some subjects you might want to hear me talk about in the next Feh Report. I'll catch everyone tomorrow with more Fire Emblem Heroes. See you then. Bye.